Hi everybody, happy March 1st, and I am in the home zencyda studio today, not the regular podcast studio, because I wanted to deliver a video about the astrology for March. And March is a power-packed month with astrology. We have so many transits happening, and they're all actually really powerful. Can be a little rocky, but I'm going to hopefully give you guys some great information about how to use them to really make your life more powerful and the best use of the energy. So let's get started right away. This video will also be saved on our YouTube channel, so if you can't tune in right now, no worries. You can catch me on YouTube later. So March comes in. What was the old saying? March can come in either like a lamb or a lion. Well, or it comes in like a lamb, goes out like a lion, something like that. I don't remember it so much. But it definitely comes in with a roar. For the next couple of days, we have a lot of Venus energy coming in. Hi, Lisa. Oh, thank you. So we're going to, in this full moon on the 9th, we're going to have some clear energy and some muddled energy. It's going to be a push-pull because Virgo likes to be clear. It likes to be pragmatic. It likes to be very concise and detail-oriented. And the sun being in Pisces is going to make us kind of woo-woo. So the energy that comes in is really, really potent. And then we still have this Mercury going on, this Mercury retrograde. And the fog starts to lift because right around that 9th of the month, while we're having this full moon, and there's a lot of other transits going on too, which I'll talk about in a minute, then Mercury actually pushes into Aquarius for a little bit. And that lifts the fog. So when this full moon comes, we're going to see a lot of things happen that we've been waiting to happen. That month-long Mercury retrograde that we've been trying to work through things, and it's been like a one step forward, two steps back. That's going to be done, and we're going to have the details we need to look at the bigger picture because that Virgo full moon brings in the details. So I hope this is all working. So now we've got some things to deal with because this full moon makes us feel as though we've got to deal with something, redo something that we weren't able to do for this last month with this Mercury retrograde that was so impactful. And this is something that's going to make you really think about your truth. It's an energy that also Neptune is very heavily in here because the sun is activating Neptune in Pisces, which Neptune has been in Pisces for years. It's going to be there for years. So we've got all this energy coming in that's very vibrant and very psychic, very heightened above the five senses. Yet the Virgo energy will ground us. So this is a time when you're going to get some really fabulous messages. If the beginning of the month with all that Venus energy did cause conflicts in relationships for you, this is when a lot of things will become very, very clear around the 9th of the month. The only downside of this energy is a lot of people will step into ego. It becomes, when Neptune starts to go into the picture and Mercury starts to go into Aquarius and all these energies start to come up, we've got Venus conjuncting Uranus. We've got Venus in a square to other planets. So without going into a lot of detail, there's going to be a lot of energy of grandiosity, of egos coming into play. Don't forget, Venus and Uranus in that Aryan energy are people who, think they're the sizzle. This is people that want to rule. Power trips, So if you started out the month with power struggles in the relationships, they're going to become very clear around this full moon. But there will still be a negative energy for some people who are in the lower octaves to be very high-handed, very egocentric. You're going to see power plays come through on the world stage and in politics very much so in March. This is a very, very, I don't even know the word to describe it. I would say it's just a very incredibly potent energy. And so what you want to do is stay on the high octave of it and use the energy, that Pisces sun, in order to really create the clarity and connecting with the other side and divinity that'll get you through this. Just going to look down my notes for a minute. Make sure you stay in the realistic part of things. That's the other thing, is that we really need some realistic energy to help us through March, because March has a lot of very unrealistic energy. It has a lot of planets in Aries that are going to come in and talk to our ego and make us think that we're really better than we are. and it has a lot of energy from what's going on in Capricorn, which is good energy and grounding energy. But because of the conjunctions that are coming in there, that can also make us feel very empowered to start something that maybe is not such a great idea. So really do whatever you have to keep your feet on the ground and don't step into grand illusion. So now the month continues. The fog ends for good around March 11th, when Mercury finally goes direct in the late degrees of Aquarius. It will be in shadow until about March 29th. So some of us who are very sensitive to that may find the energy still a little bit foggy until the end of the month. But what happens when Mercury starts to go into those late degrees of Aquarius before it goes into Pisces on the 16th, between March 11th and March 16th, put stars on your calendar for those dates, because between March 11th and March 19th, it is such a heightened time for creativity. Mercury is very prominent in the morning sky. It's near the horizon. It's almost like Mercury comes in every day and announces the sunrise. So this is like trumpets blaring in the world. This is communication in its heightened form. This is creativity in a heightened form. So between March 11th and March 16th, if there's anything that you really are being creative about or want to create, that is your sweet spot. I mean, that is really the time when you're going to find you're going to be able to do your work. You're going to be clear in it. It's a beautiful time for poetry, for creating anything with writing. It's a beautiful time to set up anything like your meditation practices or anything like that. So creativity really, really heightened. Start something that has to do with communication. So that sets off the rest of the month a little bit in regards to alchemy. And so what happens is that March 11th, when Mercury now starts to go towards Pisces, the last degrees of Aquarius that it's in the last degrees of Aquarius, then it'll start to go towards Pisces. From the 11th to the 16th, we also have some other planets obviously moving in the zodiac, really important ones. And these are important for the alchemy that starts. And this is very powerful. You had the full moon on the 9th, which heightened everything. And then from that to the end of the month, we've got the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, which sets off the energy from now till the end of the year. And that's the alchemy that comes in. And when I say alchemy, I mean the heightened way and the best way to use the energy of the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, which is going to be interplaying till the end of the year. It starts to come close and hit, and then it dwindles, and then it comes close and hits and dwindles, and then finally towards December, we've got this really heightened energy. What is the energy? Okay. We've got this logjam of planets in Capricorn. That's just like now in the 20s degrees of Capricorn. And this is Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto playing with each other, okay? And what happens this month is Jupiter, Pluto come within 3 degrees of each other. That conjunction isn't really heightened and isn't really perfected until December. But if they keep going and they go retrograde, they keep going through. This is the energy of deep transformation. Jupiter is growing the energy of Pluto and Saturn. What is that energy? Saturn is our lessons. Saturn is limitations. Saturn is putting limits on things so that we know where we need to tweak, where we need to force ourselves, so to speak, to be better at something. Saturn is the divine intervention of not letting us go too far out of bounds. Pluto, darkness, toxicity, the things in our life that are there to really teach us in a sometimes harsh way. But like I started out in the video to say, it's the rewards of listening to Saturn, listening to our limitations, listening to what we are supposed to pull back on. We're not God, right? We co-create with God. So when that ego comes in and those planets that are in Aries, Venus and Uranus, start to push us and we think we're the shizzle, right? Now Saturn and Pluto pull us back. They might teach us a lesson, but the lesson gives us more wisdom and more expansion than we've ever had before. That's the Pluto conjunction with Jupiter that's going to be setting the tone for the end of the year. It starts to come into play this month in March. And what happens ultimately is that energy comes in to really set a new world order for us personally and also on the world stage. Saturn 9 things, which Saturn is right in there too, Saturnine things grow under the influence of Pluto, but they grow to be our fears. A perfect example of this, and I hate to bring it up, but I'm going to, A perfect example of this is the coronavirus. Stock market is going down 3,000 points. Things are being canceled. I read somewhere that one of the superhero movies that they're making was canceled. The production was canceled because of the coronavirus. Well, these things are not happening because of the coronavirus. These things are happening because of our fear of the coronavirus. That's Pluto. That is Pluto. Recessions do not happen financially because of economic reasons. Recessions happen because people fear economic fallout. So that's the structure, is the fear. So you're going to see things like that become more and more heightened, and they're really going to be playing out more and more on the stage in your own life and in the political stage and the world stage. This is a sick, dark toxicity, but it brings us to rebirth. It brings us to the regeneration. It brings us to, we fear the dark, right? But until we go in the dark, we don't realize there's nothing to fear in the dark. That's the way Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter are going to work in these conjunctions until the end of the year. So you're going to see a lot of dark things rise, unfortunately. How do we use this energy to our advantage? Stay neutral. Observe. The wisdom that these things are trying to teach us is the key to coming out of them and being rewarded with a higher sense of wisdom, a higher sense of purpose, and a higher sense of being than we've ever had as humans before. So I just keep looking down at my notes. I'm sorry. It's just such a power-packed month. So this starts to get heightened a little bit after this full moon. So whatever is happening to you in your life, whatever darkness is being brought to you, and I hate to use that word, but some things are dark. Whatever challenges are being brought to you, they're being brought to you so that you can overcome them and triumph and be an even more immersed and evolved soul than you've ever been before. That's the rejuvenation. That's the regeneration of our species. So this is a powerful, powerful spring. So what happens is this is a springboard. So now around the 20th of the month or so, and around the 19th to the 23rd, we've got the spring equinox energy building. And let me tell you, this spring equinox, this spring, first day of spring, is probably going to be the most powerful spring rebirth regeneration opportunity we have had in a very, very, very long time. The energy is so powerful because that energy I was just talking about Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn, Mars starts to engage with that. Mars is our ignition. It's the rocket fuel. It's the push forward. So you've got all these planets conjunct in Capricorn. You've got blip, 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 Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn. And now Mars starts to transit them, igniting them all. It adds more gas to the fire, right? So around the spring equinox, the sun goes into Aries with Venus, with Uranus. So we've got all this combustion in Capricorn, and then we've got all this fire in Aries. And you're going to see things start to play out in a very, very spontaneous, very evolutionary, very volcanic way. And what that's going to be is make a very powerful, powerful, intensive change in our lives and also out on the world stage. You're going to see the political arenas heat up. You're going to see this thing with the coronavirus heat up. You're going to see the stock market heat up. You're going to see huge kickstart to the second half of our year. 2020 is going to be a very historic year. It already is. And we're coming into energy now that is so heightened and so intense. It's actually very exciting if you can stay in it as an observer and not let it affect you. Don't tie into a lot of these things that are happening. Don't tie into the fear about the coronavirus. Take your precautions and go about your way. Don't tie into all the political rhetoric and the division. Listen, form your own opinion, have it. And then be very strong in your own conviction. Strengthen your own resolve from within. It has nothing to do with anyone else. So you're going to see a very powerful change starts to come as Mars hits that area where all that combustion is. And then we've got some things that come in. Saturn starts to go into Aquarius. And that starts to happen right around that spring equinox. You've got all this energy. You've got Mars conjuncting Jupiter. And you got Pluto in Capricorn. You've got the spring equinox, which is Aries going into Sun going into Aries, and then you've got Saturn blipping on into Aquarius. Saturn has been in Capricorn since 2017, and then before it starts to retrograde, it pushes into the first degrees of Aquarius. The energy, the Saturnian energy, changes on a dime, but only for a few days before it goes back, well, actually till July, before it goes back into Capricorn to finish up all this energy towards our end of the year and for the huge conjunction that takes place with Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in Capricorn around the holiday. So right now in March, that Saturn energy goes on the 23rd into Aquarius. And when it does that, it changes everything. Saturn in Capricorn is really into structure. It's really into teaching us lessons by breaking down the old so we can do the new. It's teaching us structures breaking down. Like, what's the coronavirus really about? It's about, okay, a little bit of a plague. And, obviously it's an unfortunate thing that's happening. But what are we really watching? We're watching how governments handle it, how the information is given out, how is the fear going to subside. We're watching the structure of government and of countries in the framework of this virus. That's Saturn in Capricorn. So now Saturn goes into Aquarius. What is that? Aquarius is scientific. It's innovation. It's not the norm. It's the rebel. It's the revolutionary. It's science. It's new innovation from things that we didn't know existed. So I'll bet you anything, for when Saturn goes into Aquarius, you're going to hear a lot of things about the cure for the coronavirus. You're going to hear a lot of things about space travel, science, things that have been kind of on the back burner for a little while we've been so preoccupied with the structures in the world, right? So that's going to really give you a glimpse of your 3-year period after 2020 when Saturn is in Aquarius for good. So focus on how the energy changes around right after the spring equinox on the 21st, around the 23rd, 24th. Focus on what happens. Be the observer in your own life and on the world stage, because that is your clue. That is your flash of intuition. It's like the door cracks open on the next 3 years, 2021 to 2023, 24. And it'll give you a little bit of information on that. So that's why I love astrology, because if you follow the stars, everything you need is right here. So it's going to be a really powerful month. Best use of this energy as things start to change is creation. We've got a huge window of creation between the 9th and the 11th and the 16th. And we've got a huge window of creation that comes towards the end of the month on the 24th, when we have a new moon in Aries. The sun is in Aries, the new moon is in Aries, Uranus is in Aries. That is energy for like new invention, new innovation, thoughts you've never had before, creating things you never dreamed of. Starts to trine all of those conjunctions I was talking about in Capricorn, the Jupiter, the Pluto. It starts to trine those things, and trines are good. Triangles are the most stable energy that we can have, if anyone has ever studied geometry. So that's going to give us a little bit of grace. So try and step into that grace towards the end of the month, between the 24th and the 31st. Right after that spring equinox, I'm telling you, the creation is going to go through the roof. And you want to step into that beautiful Mars in Aquarius energy, because it's going to be by Saturn. And you want to step into that because that's an ignition. That's the rocket fuel. Just don't shoot too far out into outer space. You want to stay where the work is done. You want to stay where you can really create things. So if there's anything that you have been having in the works that you want to do, that you've been thinking about doing, and because of all this Mercury and Pisces fog haven't been able to do, let it go for a couple of days, because as soon as we get into this energy around the 5th of March on, you're going to find creation and ignition is really heightened for you, and it's going to be like a go, go, go. The way I would caution you, the best use of this energy is, for some, it's going to be too much go. It's going to be too much Aryan fire, too much Mars push, too much Uranus, Venus, boom, right? It's going to be too much of that. So you have to stay grounded. Stay in your spiritual practices. Do your yoga, do your meditation, do your walks and your gym work, whatever gets the energy out for you so that you can process it better, because this energy is going to be really intensified. And you need to stay in the tenacious patience of getting tasks done. You know, I always say, whenever we're in a rush and we feel like we have to get something out really, really quickly, usually what that speaks to me of is it's our ego, not our heart and soul being put into it. Our ego wants the recognition really quickly, or our ego has fear that we're squandering the time. That's not where you want to create from. This is energy that can give you beautiful ideas, but it can also put you out of bounds. So you want to stay in it so that you have that methodical patience, know the sincerity of the things that you're creating, and bring them into the world with love because you really think they're going to help you or help someone else, and you have a very altruistic idea of it. If you do things from ego in this energy, they're going to be falling down. It's going to be a disaster. The Pluto, Saturn conjunctions in Capricorn, that is what the underlying energy is. Anything that is not transparent, not of high integrity, and not authenticated is going to be crushed in this energy from now until the end of the year. And you're all going to see that a lot in our own lives where we have delusion, and you're going to see it a lot out on the world stage. What a fabulous thing to happen to us so we can rejuvenate to be truly authentic. And that's the way you have to look at it. So that's the energy of March. I'll be coming on periodically when there's heavy transits and when we have, really important things going on, the equinox and things like that. This video will be on my YouTube channel on zencyda, so please watch. You can also find me on zencyda Official on Instagram, zencyda on Facebook, and private message me if you would like your chart done for an astrological reading to see how these things are going to affect you personally. Or if you would just like a mediumship reading, I am also a psychic medium, as most of you know. Lisa, I agree. She's got so many classes for painting and doing so many things. So if you're looking for creation and you're looking for somebody to help you with things like that, artwork, Lisa Azio is definitely a go-to person. And you're going to see a lot more of those things come out into the world. As we start to go to Aquarian energy in 2021, you're also going to see a lot of things happening with spirituality meeting science, sound healing, different things that will be for healing work and artistic things for healing. So thank you all. I did not expect to get this many people on the middle of the day on a Sunday, but this will be banked on YouTube if you want to watch it back. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Thank you so much, everyone. This is the energy that I source my life from. I love you all and have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. And use March to its full advantage because there's a lot of energy going on here. Don't go into ego. If you're having conflicts in your relationships, please respond from a loving and beautiful soul so that you know where your evolution is. These things are happening for you, not to you. And we're all going to emerge from March different people. I guarantee changes are going to happen in your lives, and it's all going to be for the better. Thank you so much. I'm Georgia Rose from zencyda. Please join our communities online. Thank you. Bye-bye.